Hey folks, what's the crack? Welcome back to another episode of Meet the Members, where we have the chance to sit down with some of our incredible Ormeau Baths residents. These are just the best people on planet Earth who call this place their business home. And we're joined today with the one and only Rachel Snowden.
Hi.
Dee.
How are we?
Have you ever seen, I was thinking about this on the way on the bus. I remember, it's a vivid childhood memory of mine. It was some sort of game show where you had to do a different challenge every single week. And this one guy was assigned, can you remember, an entire school of primary kids?
Okay.
And all he had was the photos and the names.
Oh, so you need to remember your whole year.
And he had to remember everything, so that was the challenge. And I was thinking, I bet Rachel could do that with coffee orders of Ormeau Baths residents.
Okay, well I got yours right.
That's the thing. And so before the interview shows up, this is why it's the best job in the world. Look at that, get the sponsorship in there. Napoleon coffee, like and subscribe.
That's it.
But I don't drink caffeine, I haven't for a while, and Rachel brought the regular order,
with the decaf.
which is the decaf black, as Aiden likes to say. So what do you think, I'm talking the people who've been here for 2 or 3 years, if I brought 20 of us in, do you reckon you could do it?
I reckon we could probably get a good 80% of them right.
It's mad.
It's just me, or have I got the rest of the guys as well?
Well, it can be a team sport. Sure,
okay, if it's team sport, then we're fine.
If it was a team sport, you could probably do half of Belfast.
Oh yeah, then we're fine. Yeah, there is sometimes the guys, because I've been sort of so busy trying to work on other projects for the cafe at the moment that there's times I come in the morning and I maybe haven't been there just as much in the morning at the moment, and I'll come in, the guys are like, oh, there's James coming up, it's a black blah blah blah, and I'm going wait, how do you do this coffee order? I'm like, wait, what have I missed? So yeah, the guys have a good memory for remembering orders.
Do you have a regular, or do you kind of just go as the wind blows for yourself?
For coffee drinks?
Yeah.
For what I would drink? Depends what I am in the mood for.
Oh, I like that. You see, you're very refined.
I'm
just
up.
I'm like a robot.
You I know what I like, that's good.
What is the best selling drink?
Oh.
Because in my head, we're kind of coming out of the post-hipster phase, and I'm imagining flat white, but it probably isn't.
Flat white's still up there. We would sell a lot of Americanos. We've had a lot of Americano drinkers. And then there's been a couple of people who have changed Americanos onto filter.
Oh.
So obviously because we use specialty coffee, we brew up some really, really nice filter coffees. We normally go a wee bit more fun and funky with filter coffee, so it's normally something a little bit lighter and fruitier. And I think the guys have managed to convert some people from Americanos onto filter now.
Well, sell it to us for those of us who are non-specialty people.
Mm-hmm.
Make the pitch for us to make the transition from your standard Americano to the fun and funky. I love that. I feel like
fun
that
and funky.
Be on your menu. Fun and funky filter.
That's gonna be that's a hard one to rhyme off the
coffee.
tongue. Yeah. Fun and funky filter. Sorry, what?
It's the way fast food restaurants have, hi, welcome to McDonald's, blah blah blah, and then they have an order. It's would you like to try our fun and funky filter coffee today?
Would you like to go large with that? Yeah, I think it depends. If you are feeling a bit adventurous, filter coffees are definitely more tea-like in terms of flavour and body. Whereas Americano, because espresso based, will be much more fuller bodied, and people will think it tastes stronger as well because of that. So if you like that, or if you like coffee with added milk and maybe you do take sugar or whatever, definitely stick to Americano. If you're feeling a little bit adventurous and you want to try something a bit different, that is then where we get a lot of different guest coffees in from either UK, locally, Europe, and that is then where we sort of feature. A lot of them will be on the filter bar. So you'll come in one day, you could come in the morning, get a filter, and come back in the afternoon and something different.
Whoa.
We mix it up.
It's fun and funky.
We mix it up. People kind of come in, they're like, right, what am I getting?
Love that. It's interesting it's tea-like.
Yeah.
That kind of explains something to me. Whenever I was first getting into coffee, or I should probably say whenever Northern Ireland was first getting into cool coffee, I remember going to the cool places and being like, why is this coffee not as black as the usual stuff?
Yeah.
It was a bit more tea-like.
Yeah.
And it was because I was drinking filter.
If you've got a filter, definitely.
Yeah.
And if you're not big into coffee and you want to try something like that, filter is quite a nice way to get into, because it is definitely a lot lighter and it's fun.
Yeah.
It is fun. But we always adapt for customers' orders.
So good. So when was the first time you laid eyes? You'll never get the specifics. I mean, if you do, I'll be surprised. When was the first time you laid eyes on this incredible building that is Ormeau Baths?
Oh, the very first time was probably, I did work here a while ago pre me owning the cafe.
Dun, dun, dun.
I do live locally in town, so I kind of am very familiar with this area as well. So yeah, I mean, exact year, I became definitely more familiar with probably back in like 2016ish, 2016, 2017. And yeah, I just kind of fell in love with the space, and obviously it's just gone through massive renovation works at the time from, well, it was obviously the bathhouse to the art gallery, which I have a really interesting story about the cafe, about the art gallery thing, which I'll get to in a second.
Oh yes. You've come prepared, I like this.
Yeah. Have I don't know. I walk in and I'm like, right, what are we talking about?
Story in mouth, ready to go.
Yeah, so the art gallery thing was interesting. So apparently we did have a customer, since we've taken over Napoleon, we had a customer come in one time before and was like, this is really fun that we can come in and, you know, see this, because obviously the cafe is very much a public access part of the building, whereas the office space is more kind of like privately owned by members and stuff. But with the cafe, a customer came in one day and she was like, yeah, I used to work here with this art gallery, and I'm like, that's so cool, like tell me more about it. And she goes, yeah, well, where I'm standing right now in the cafe used to be a store cupboard.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like the steps and stuff, apparently she's like, lorries would have reversed up and there was no steps, and literally just like offloaded stuff in, and she just was like, yeah, it was kind of chaotic in here. And she's like, the fact that you managed to fit in like a 14-seater cafe in what was an old art store cupboard is pretty impressive.
I mean, it is impressive. Like, Napoleon always gives me sort of like New York vibes.
Oh, nice.
Of like optimizing like a small space, turning into something really useful.
I feel like I've turned into is it Mary Kondo who does all the space saving? Like,
does it spark joy?
Does it spark joy? I need to ask myself that when I'm doing a clear out at home. Yeah, I try, like when you're working with such a small space, like you just be very proactive in what you're doing and what you need and where you're putting things. And same with, we've currently been working, we were just discussing about that, we're working on the kitchen space as well at the moment, and again it's cozy.
Yep.
And like I was working pretty much 24/7 that last week, and I have got little space saving hacks in there. And there's one of the other traders came around and saw our fit out and what we had in, and we're like, where did you get this? Like, what is this magical thing that clips onto this shelf that gives like extra storage? And I'm just like, oh, I've worked in a small space for a long time. You learn these little hacks along the way. So but yeah, you kind of just have to make the most of a small space. But loved that story about it being an art store cupboard. I was like, that's cool.
I love your story. I actually tell your story quite a lot to lots of different people, because it's like, it's such a lovely arc, and we've talked about this on
the podcast,
before,
the podcast,
where, you know, Rachel was managing the space before under a previous cafe. She then ended up taking over the space herself, and it's been amazing to see you start to like transform that space into your own. So the wee tables were a lovely addition. Yeah. Wee flippy tables. Yeah. And then tell us about like the coffee machine. Capital T.
The new coffee
with
machine.
Oak on it.
I know. Well,
from Australia.
And then we were like, if we're gonna get a new machine, like I might as well get the machine of my dreams. So you know,
so
like we worked hard the last 2 years.
That's niche. Tell me what the machine of your dreams.
For a while, like we did want to always change up equipment and stuff, and like so try and start making the space our own. Obviously, like the coffee machine is a very focal point of the space, and I did want something, you know, that fitted in. I didn't want it to be too wild and crazy. I mean, I want it to be fun, but I didn't want to be too wild and crazy because we are again in such a small, tight space. It had to be quite soft to kind of fit in with the space, but obviously practical as well. Yeah. So that kind of was a project we were working on for a while. We teamed up with the guys at Bailey's that helped us out with all the machinery side of it. We got it powder coated. I teamed up with the guys in Australia called Spec Design, so they would do a lot of stuff for all of them Mazzocca machines. Like a lot of people have little home ones and get stuff from them. So we got nice little accents and stuff finished on it, just to kind of really make it our own.
Nice.
But yeah, really, really happy with how it turned out. And yeah, funny story actually about the colour of it. It's like a really kind of dusky, pinky kind of colour. Originally I was like, oh, keep it neutral, you know, keep it classy. I was like, you know, like a nice beige, and Aidan was going, that is not a sentence. Like nice beige is not it's not a word. And
no one wants to, like, if we were to describe like our personalities as colours, like no one wants to be beige. Nice beige.
You don't want to be a nice beige.
It's like something your mum would say, okay, he's a nice wee beige.
So everyone, the kind of inside joke we've got in the cafe is like, whenever we were trying to finalise colours, because let's be honest, you're only doing it once, and you've got to get it right. Like I had just rated the Valspar bar with all their colour swatches. Don't try going to B&Q because there's none left. And I finally settled on one, and it was like a real nice dusky pink colour that fit into the cafe, kind of fit in with the branding. But ironically, the name of it's called Toasted Beige.
Oh, no.
So people come in, they're like, oh, I love your pink machine. And everyone's like, it's not pink, it's Toasted Beige. So this is a running joke now that we've got.
That's class. So talk to me a little bit about, like, obviously getting a coffee machine like that is a significant investment.
Yes.
I have, like, no clue why someone would spend more money on a machine. I don't know what the benefit is. It's the same with me in cars, you know, like we drive just wee beat up crappy cars.
Yep.
And then, you know, I have mates who are like, oh, look at
I
this.
need to get
And they're
this.
really
Yeah,
interested,
yeah,
like
yeah.
looking under
Yeah.
the bonnet.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
So what is the benefit, or technically why was this the machine of your dreams?
We want something, I mean, there's a lot of different coffee machines and brands stuff out there that have a lot of very, very fancy features on it, which is really cool. You know, as baristas, we're all a wee bit nerdy when it comes to anything sciencey or kind of techy as well. But for me, I just wanted something that was really reliable.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, it has to be fun and easy to work on, but it has to be reliable as well. It is a workhorse, and like I always wanted to switch to that Lambrosco machine just because it fitted nicely in the space as well. It was a little bit smaller than the machine we previously had, and obviously we were really tight on counter space too, so like that was a big one as well. But yeah, I think with it, you kind of you do want to invest in your equipment. At the end of the day, you know, for us, quality is so important. You know, we want it to be consistent every time when customers come in. I think that's the reason customers come back. Obviously for the nice chats as well along the way. Hopefully for the nice chats.
But it's a different type of quality. Like what you've been able to do with your staff team is incredible, and like the level of quality you've been able to, not like making them sound like they're robots, but like the level of quality you've been able to replicate across each widget. No, but seriously, like every single new person you brought in, because you know this place is my home, and like with every new staff member, I almost find myself getting like a wee bit territorial. Oh, who's this? Oh, who are you rocking up in here? You think you're going to be better than Aiden, do you? Alright, let's see. And, you know, by like 1 week in, I've like fallen in love with them all over again, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
I'm really cool. I do, like our team, well, first of all, we'd be lost without them at the moment now, because obviously things are slowly starting to grow and build and things now, but really, really happy with the team. And it is a family, though it is very much work family. You're welcoming someone new, and you're like, come and join, please enjoy, we'll be nice, I promise. So yeah, we've really started to expand the team pretty much in the last kind of month or two as well now.
A lot of new faces.
We've taken on, we still have Aiden with Paul, with Heather as well, and then we've just taken on another guy called Matthew and another girl called Sarah, who are both really lovely, both come from specialty coffee experience, background. They really love the cafe as well, and just they've been both absolutely fantastic, and it's a nice wee work family. I think everyone's getting on really well, and like that is very much an important part of work for me, is that, you know, the work ethic is enjoyable, and you know, it is a nice place. You get up in the morning, you want to come and work here, and you know, it's fun. And I think like even when I was down there today, the guys are having a laugh down there already this morning, so I was like, right, okay, see you in 10 minutes.
But that's what, like, we as customers, we buy into that as well, you know, and we feel like part of the joy and part of the experience of going to Napoleon is you kind of get invited into that family or into that circle for the, you know, amount of minutes that you're in there.
I think the space as well definitely adds to that too, because we are so small. You know, there's not many places, or like if we've been traveling, there's similar cafes like that where, you know, if you are in for a coffee, you can sit and have a chat with us, and quite often, like there's times like we'll be sitting chatting to a customer and another customer will get involved, and it's just this like just this banter back and forth across the cafe, and like that's just really lovely to see that as well. And I think, you know, we are really lucky to be part obviously of Ormeau Baths too, because like we feel we're very much part of the bigger family as well, like office co-working space, and it is a really genuinely lovely place to be part of. And I couldn't think of a better place to have the cafe, if I'm honest.
Absolutely. And like we love it and we benefit so much because, you know, as we've been talking about in the series, like the whole kind of like Ormeau Baths package is really set up for small teams, individuals, solo entrepreneurs who are trying to recreate somewhat artificially that like colleague environment, you know, that like, oh, I'm going to go into work today and see my colleagues and talk to people around the water cooler, you know. And so I think especially like post-COVID, I probably shouldn't even say that, you know, in 2022.
In normal times. But we look back at this now and we're kind of going, like, the thing that's starting to really freak me out now is people talk about things like that was 2 years ago and you're going,
yeah,
where did those 2 years of my life go?
But I think especially now, like a lot of us have done the work from home.
Yeah.
We got all the benefits and we got all the downsides. A lot of us are looking for kind of like a space in between.
Yeah.
I know Ormeau Baths obviously like ticks the box perfectly, but like the cafe is such a crucial point in that, you know, and like you know yourself because you're the one making the coffees. Like it's part of the morning routine. Like you go into Napoleon, you say hello to Aidan, you say hello to Matthew, you say hello to Rachel, whoever's on, and you get your coffee, and then that's the start of your day. Or it's like it's your little like luxurious like 11 o'clock break
just to get away from
everything. You know what I mean?
Just to get away from the madness.
And it's so nice. And I mean, you know, the discounts helpful as well.
We look after you guys. We look after you guys. That's very much exclusive. But yeah, I think we're starting to definitely notice now there is more footfall starting to come back into town. Because like when we opened the cafe, well, I'm sure people will know, like it was very much we signed the lease and pretty much gave over our life savings in the middle of a global pandemic, and like, you know, the cafe wasn't something that we had imagined, you know, on a whim that we were going to do. Like this was something that, you know, personally coming from specialty coffee and hospitality for like sort of last 7, 8, 9 years maybe now, it was something we were always really keen to try and venture into someday. And you know, 2020 was going to be the year, and we spoke about this in the podcast as well. Like, you know, I had done business plans in 2019, we'd genuinely start looking for places, and then 2020 was the year. March came and we were like, oh, okay, no. What a terrible idea. Why are we not able to open a cafe in a global pandemic? And then obviously this had came up, and everything kind of came full circle. And the day I remember coming down to like, pretty much remember meeting up with Claire and signing the lease. It was like the excitement, but also, you know, it's slightly like your stomach's sitting here, you're kind of a bit like, oh, what are we doing? And I just remember like the two of us literally had these keys in our hands and we were just like, we have a lot of coffee to make. And we did open at a time when, you know, everyone was working from home. Like even the bars itself was people, like there was a time whenever the bars was just closed, like it wasn't allowed to open, and we were very much confined by the guidelines if it was takeaway only, and it was just me at the start. So there was a few very interesting days at the start where there was not very people about, but it's just being part of Linen Quarter and just kind of slowly starting to see the place come back to life again. You know, it did definitely take 2 years to get here. You know, we haven't really been able from day one to click our fingers and be like, okay, go, this is how it's going to be. Like we have had to really slowly build up to this, and it's massively been a learning curve. Do you know, a lot of things I'd experience in and prepared for whatever, but like no one prepares you on a potentially a business plan that you've spent a year trying to write for, you know, through in a pandemic and no one knows what they're doing. Like that just went out the window. I might as well rip that up. Like we just had these keys and we're like winging it. Yeah, sure. I think we all secretly do a little bit of that.
No, we do, and I think that's part of the magic to it as well. But I remember, I think you guys had just ordered in your cups. And I think you even like said to me, you're like, I just like, are we even going to be able to like sell coffee in all of them? Because it was quite a big amount of cups you had to order.
You do like have to order a lot in like minimum quantities as well, and obviously we have everything as compostable. So I remember like the first day click and go and not order for takeaway cups and being like, this is a lot of money to spend on cups to potentially open a cafe in an area where everyone's told work from home and we might not sell any coffee. That even it was those little things that start like that. It's quite daunting at the time. You realise like I have a lot of outgoings right now and we have no one coming into offices.
Absolutely. Well, what's it been like for you? You know, 2 years later, the business is going really well. You've got these incredible staff that we've kind of shouted out already. What's it been like for you personally? Obviously, you're still like incredibly hands-on, incredibly involved in the day-to-day run of the cafe. I think that's the way that you like it. But what's it been like to get like just like that little bit of like, let's call it like babysitting time to like put your head above and start to like think about other projects, and explore other opportunities? What's that been like for you?
Having that time has massively helped, because obviously the cafe was pretty much 24/7 and the team down there are like absolute superstars. Like they have everything organised. There is days I'm raging I'm not there because I have other like adult admin things to do.
VAT.
Yeah, you know, payroll needs done, pensions need done, all the fun, glamorous stuff that comes with running a business. But there is days I kind of just miss the atmosphere and the buzz, and you know, down at the cafe. But the guys have really, I think, helped keep that alive and keep that space there. But having the extra time, like we are currently working on a off-site kitchen space.
Nice.
So a little small commercial prep space to do. The plan always with the business was to do, the focus was always very much specialty coffee, but me and Matthew are obviously both really into food as well. Cannot claim that I'm a trained chef, but really love cooking. But we always wanted the idea of expanding the food menu. So at the moment it is very limited what we have to offer, but the plan is very much keep it grab and go. Soup, salads, like nice kind of tagines and things like that for lunch. So being able to now get this space and then someone else come on board, I will kind of be working between the cafe and there, along with all the other like admin bits that need done. But it's nice just kind of starting to see that side of things starting to take off. So we've been pretty much flat out doing that. I mean, last week there was one of the days we were there at about 11:30, maybe even midnight, putting up shelves.
Mad.
Because you know that's what you have to do.
Yeah, love it.
But it's exciting.
Cool. Final question then.
Yes.
I'm going to tweak this slightly.
Okay.
So if you were to go back in time to a Rachel in 2020 who had just signed the lease and had the keys in her hand, and you had a couple of minutes of her time, what would you say to her?
Don't freak out about so many things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think like we got the keys at a really uncertain time, so you know you couldn't predict how things were going to go. Looking back now, I think I just be like, just enjoy it. Just enjoy. And I genuinely think we really have enjoyed it. I mean, there's definitely, you know, anyone who starts a business, whether, you know, if it's members in the band, whether it's tech or whether, you know, it's something more digital or creative or photography or whatever you're doing, like there always comes moments where you're like, this is hard.
Yeah. Like
this is genuinely hard. And there was times, you know, you were working maybe 80-hour weeks and you're going, is this going to be worth it? This is really full on. But I think, yeah, you do definitely enjoy it. And there is times it can be very full on, it can be tiring, but it has been really rewarding as well. And to be able to see, you know, staff are happy, staff enjoy it, customers are happy, the feedback's been great, you know, with nice exciting projects now to work on as well. Like it's definitely started to grow. And looking back, I just be like, yeah, just enjoy it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hope you enjoyed that. I did. The coffee's actually finished. It was like perfectly timed.
It was perfectly timed.
I got to listen a lot more, so I was able to drink more.
Okay.
You were the one doing all the talking here,
That's
really.
lovely.
So, if you'd like to check out some of the other episodes in the series, you can do so on this page. I'm assuming you're listening to it on this page. If not, you don't know what this is. You can go to the Ormeau Baths website to check out some of our membership opportunities. If you would like to come and see this place in real life to get a free tour, you can do so by clicking the contact form, reaching out, saying hello. One of the lovely team will be in touch. And yeah, we would love to see it. We'd love to welcome you to this place if you're interested in making this place your business home, if you don't have one already or you're looking to change. And other than that, just want to say, Rachel, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for the time as well.
That was nice to hear everything. It's funny, like we're gonna have like just these, we should do it like once a year, and then we'll create like this
just a
like,
recap.
Yeah, like this like video diary almost of like.
I feel like we've started that.
I know it's happening.
Okay,
We
it's
just need to
happening.
keep it going. Okay, cool. Say it.
Bye.